beautiful cumulus clouds. It is the ravishing beauty of the mountains. It is the gorgeous sound of the music. It is the delight of the children.
The Sound of Music has captivated audiences for decades with its sweeping landscapes, memorable songs, and unforgettable performances. Millions know it as the iconic story of Maria, the Von Trapp family, and the mountains of Austria. But even in a film this meticulously crafted, not everything went according to plan. Recently, fans noticed a peculiar detail in one of the movie's most famous scenes. A small, almost imperceptible blooper remained in the final cut, a mistake that somehow slipped past editors, directors, and the entire production team. While it's easy to assume that classic films are flawless, this discovery reveals that even legendary movies are human creations, full of tiny imperfections waiting to be spotted by keen-eyed viewers. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the scene, breaking down the exact moment that went unedited, why it happened, and how such mistakes can become part of a film's charm. We'll also explore how actors, crew members, and editors, sometimes intentionally or accidentally, leave details that weren't meant to be noticed, and how audiences respond when they finally do. Whether you're a lifelong fan of The Sound of Music or a casual viewer who loves behind-the-scenes stories, this blooper is a reminder that even cinematic classics have hidden surprises. What you think you know about this film may not be the full story. Few moments in cinematic history are as instantly recognizable as the opening sequence of The Sound of Music, when Julie Andrews as Maria twirls joyfully across the hills of Austria, singing The Sound of Music. It's a scene that has captured hearts for generations, combining breathtaking scenery, uplifting music, and a sense of freedom that perfectly introduces the story to come. For decades, viewers have returned to this moment not just for nostalgia, but because it embodies the magic of the film, a world where music, nature, and emotions seamlessly intertwine. The sequence itself is deceptively simple. Maria, dressed in a plain but charming outfit, steps out of her convent and ascends the rolling green hills. The camera follows her movements in wide, sweeping shots, capturing both her grace and the natural beauty surrounding her. The combination of cinematography and musical timing creates a feeling of soaring liberation, as if the audience is sharing in her excitement and awe. Every frame feels meticulously composed, from the positioning of the mountains in the background to the soft sunlight illuminating her face. Yet beneath this surface of perfection lies the hidden complexity of production. Filming outdoors in the Alps brought a host of challenges. Weather was unpredictable, wind and light constantly changing, and the terrain itself posed difficulties for both the actors and the crew. Julie Andrews, despite her elegance on screen, had to navigate steep hills and uneven ground while maintaining precise vocal performance. Cameras were mounted on dolly tracks and cranes to capture the sweeping panoramas, requiring careful coordination between operators and the director, Robert Wise. This carefully choreographed moment was intended to be flawless, and for the most part, it was. But it is precisely because of this attention to detail that any small deviation stands out. Fans often watch the scene repeatedly, mesmerized by Andrews' twirling, her exuberance, and the way the wind catches her hair. They notice the way her feet land, how her dress moves, and the subtle interactions with the environment. The sequence's enduring appeal lies in this combination of careful planning and seemingly effortless spontaneity. It looks natural, though it required extraordinary effort behind the scenes. It's in this context that the unedited blooper becomes so fascinating. Against the backdrop of perfection, even the smallest misstep or oversight suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. The audience, trained to expect flawless performance from a classic film, is jolted into noticing a detail that might otherwise have gone completely unnoticed. And yet the blooper does not detract from the magic of the scene. If anything, it adds a layer of human authenticity to an otherwise idyllic sequence. Moreover, the scene sets the emotional tone for the entire movie. It establishes Maria as lively, spirited, and full of hope, while simultaneously introducing the picturesque Austrian setting that will serve as the backdrop for her adventures. Every subsequent musical number, interaction with the Von Trapp children, and narrative twist traces its emotional roots back to this opening sequence. Understanding the significance of the scene helps explain why discovering an overlooked blooper here has such a surprising impact. It's not just a minor production error. It's a crack in a seemingly perfect cinematic jewel. In essence, this moment in The Sound of Music is more than a song. It is a carefully constructed emotional experience. The audience remembers the joy, the freedom, and the soaring energy, making any unnoticed detail, any small blooper, all the more captivating when finally revealed. It reminds us that even in perfection, imperfection can exist, and it is often in those tiny imperfections that films become timeless and endearing. For decades, the opening scene of The Sound of Music has enchanted audiences, but recently, eagle-eyed fans spotted something that had gone unnoticed for over half a century, a subtle blooper that slipped past the editors and made it into the final cut. At first glance, it's nearly invisible, so small that most viewers would never question it. But for those who study the scene frame by frame, it becomes unmistakable, a tiny flaw in an otherwise perfect cinematic sequence. The blooper occurs during one of Maria's signature twirls across the lush alpine hills. While her movements appear graceful and flawless, careful observation reveals that a piece of the set, a misplaced prop, or even a momentary imbalance in her steps interrupts the illusion of perfect choreography. It's the kind of error that could easily be brushed aside. Yet, in a film known for its meticulous attention to detail, it stands out dramatically once noticed. Fans began sharing slow-motion clips and screenshots online, sparking debates about how it managed to survive decades of editing scrutiny. Part of the reason this blooper went unnoticed for so long is the technical limitations of the era. The Sound of Music was filmed in 1964, long before the digital technology that allows for pixel-perfect editing today. Scenes were shot on film, and the editing process involved physically cutting and splicing reels, a meticulous, time-consuming task. Editors focused on ensuring that camera angles, audio synchronization, and pacing were seamless. Minor imperfections, especially those that didn't disrupt the narrative or the visual flow, were often overlooked because they simply weren't as noticeable when projected in theaters. Another factor is the sheer scale of the production. Filming on the Austrian hills presented unpredictable environmental conditions, gusts of wind, changes in sunlight, and occasional interference from the landscape itself. Julie Andrews had to maintain her vocal performance while moving across uneven terrain, making it nearly impossible to achieve absolute perfection in every take. With so many elements in motion, the priority was creating a seamless overall impression rather than perfecting every minute detail. Interestingly, this blooper doesn't detract from the scene's magic. In fact, it highlights the human effort behind the film. Editors and crew did not deliberately leave the mistake. It was an artifact of a production that was ambitious, challenging, and at times chaotic. It's a reminder that even the most celebrated films are products of human labor, with imperfections inevitably slipping through. These small details, when finally noticed, provide insight into the realities of filmmaking, revealing how much work, coordination, and improvisation went into creating moments that feel effortless on screen. The discovery also speaks to the modern obsession with analyzing classics in ways that were impossible at the time. High-definition streaming, frame-by-frame video tools, and fan communities have allowed viewers to dissect movies with incredible precision. What was once invisible is now magnified, turning a decades-old oversight into a topic of fascination and conversation. Ultimately, spotting the blooper transforms the way we watch The Sound of Music. It doesn't ruin the scene or the film, it humanizes it. For fans, it becomes a shared secret, a hidden quirk that connects audiences across generations. It's a testament to the complexity of filmmaking, where even the smallest imperfection can survive through time. Preserved in a classic that continues to inspire joy and wonder. Every great film carries hidden stories, and The Sound of Music is no exception. While audiences have long admired its sweeping landscapes, memorable songs, and Julie Andrews' iconic performance, the unedited blooper highlights a larger truth. Filmmaking is a human endeavor, filled with small mistakes, improvisations, and unexpected surprises. Understanding the behind-the-scenes environment helps explain why a seemingly flawless scene could contain an unnoticed error. Filming on location in the Austrian Alps presented unique challenges. The crew had to contend with unpredictable weather, shifting sunlight, and rugged terrain that tested both actors and cinematographers. Julie Andrews, while delivering pitch-perfect vocals, navigated steep inclines and uneven ground, all while maintaining the elegance and energy expected of Maria. Camera operators balanced on moving platforms, tracking her every twirl and step, coordinating with sound engineers and lighting technicians. In such a dynamic environment, absolute precision was nearly impossible. Moreover, editing techniques of the 1960s were far more limited than today's digital tools. Editors worked by physically cutting and splicing reels of film, carefully syncing visuals with the audio recordings of songs. Mistakes that today could be corrected with a few clicks often required complex reshoots or were simply left in the final cut if they didn't drastically disrupt the scene. It's entirely plausible that the minor blooper in Maria's twirl was deemed insignificant at the time, invisible against the grandeur of the mountains and the power of the music. Actors and crew members were also aware of the challenges and often embraced them with humor and resilience. Julie Andrews herself reportedly had moments of laughter when navigating tricky shots, and minor flubs were part of the day-to-day reality on set. The production relied heavily on teamwork, improvisation, and patience. Many of the most memorable moments in The Sound of Music weren't the result of perfect execution but of creative problem-solving and spontaneous adjustments in response to environmental and technical constraints. Interestingly, the film contains other subtle moments where spontaneity or small mistakes contributed to the charm. For example, extras shifting in the background, props slightly out of place, or natural sounds that weren't planned. All these details remind viewers that classic films are crafted by humans, not machines. The unedited blooper in the opening sequence fits into this pattern, serving as a testament to the imperfect, yet beautifully organic process of filmmaking. It's also worth noting that filmmakers often prioritize emotion and storytelling over technical perfection. In The Sound of Music, the primary goal was to convey Maria's joy, freedom, and connection to nature. The energy and emotion captured in her twirling performance far outweigh any minor technical missteps. In fact, the blooper's survival into the final cut subtly reinforces the authenticity of the scene, reminding audiences that this is a real performance happening in a real environment. Finally, fan fascination with such bloopers demonstrates how technology has changed the way we interact with films. High-definition video, slow-motion analysis, and global fan communities allow viewers to scrutinize every frame, revealing details that production teams never imagined would be seen so closely. The behind-the-scenes secrets of The Sound of Music, from unedited bloopers to spontaneous moments on set, offer a richer understanding of both the film and the human effort that brought it to life. The discovery of an unedited blooper in The Sound of Music may surprise fans, but it also reveals a deeper truth about filmmaking. Perfection is often an illusion, and small imperfections can add charm, authenticity, and emotional resonance to a film. While movies are carefully constructed works of art, the human effort behind them means that tiny errors, like the blooper in Maria's opening twirl, are inevitable. Yet these minor flaws do not diminish the magic. In many ways, they enhance it. One of the reasons this blooper is so fascinating is that it humanizes the film. The Sound of Music has been regarded as nearly flawless for decades, a cinematic jewel that captivates viewers with its music, scenery, and performances. But the presence of an unnoticed imperfection reminds us that even the greatest productions are the work of real people, working under challenging conditions, often improvising in response to unpredictable circumstances. It transforms the film from a polished icon into a living, breathing creation, an achievement shaped by both talent and human limitation. Fans who have spotted the blooper online reacted with a mix of delight and disbelief. Social media discussions and video breakdowns showcase the meticulous attention viewers pay to even the smallest details. Many express amusement at how such a minor error remained for decades, while others marvel at the resilience and skill required to deliver such a compelling performance despite the obstacles. In this way, the blooper becomes part of the shared cultural experience of the film, connecting generations of viewers through curiosity, observation, and shared discovery. Interestingly, the charm of imperfection extends beyond this single scene. Filmmaking, especially in the era of practical effects and on-location shooting, was full of unpredictable variables. Actors' expressions, weather conditions, and technical limitations all contributed to moments that could never be perfectly controlled. These human elements, far from detracting from the film, make it relatable and enduring. Viewers can sense the effort, the spontaneity, and the small unpredictabilities that remind them that this magical story exists in a tangible human world. In many ways, this unedited blooper reflects a broader artistic truth. Mistakes often become memorable features. From improvisational dialogue to spontaneous physical movements, the unexpected often adds authenticity and charm that careful planning alone cannot achieve. It encourages audiences to see classic films not as sterile perfection, but as dynamic works shaped by human creativity, collaboration, and occasionally minor oversight. Finally, the blooper invites reflection on how we consume and appreciate art. In a digital age where every frame can be analyzed in detail, it's tempting to focus on flaws. Yet the joy of discovering these imperfections lies in how they deepen our connection to the film. The blooper does not diminish Maria's twirl or the beauty of the Austrian hills. Instead, it offers a subtle reminder of the effort, spontaneity, and humanity that created a story beloved for generations. In the end, The Sound of Music continues to enchant audiences not in spite of its imperfections, but with them. The unedited blooper is a testament to the artistry, resilience, and heart of the cast and crew, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest flaws make a film not just enduring, but unforgettable.